You're listening to Crystal and Emily on Love Your Shelf, the best librarian podcast in the extensive and highly competitive field of librarian podcasts.
Hello.
Hello.
We are back with Love Your Shelf.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody's counting, it's episode 6.5. So season 6, episode 5. And
I never keep track. I'm always just like, yes, that's what.
Sure.
Yes.
Just
And
goes
so I
along.
love the idea of you just making up a new number every episode.
Next will be season 12,
Yeah.
episode 34.
Yep.
Yeah.
Staying busy.
Yeah. You never know.
What you got?
Well, the first thing I want to talk about today is sad.
Oh, no.
My favorite author of all time passed away this week.
No.
Yes.
That is so sad. I'm so sorry.
I know. I was taken by surprise. It's Paul Auster is my favorite author. And I found out because there was a special about him on NPR, on Fresh Air. And so it was like clips of old interviews with him and stuff. He was called the patron saint of literary Brooklyn.
Great title.
Yes, and which is coincidental because this week I'm going to talk about a book called Brooklyn Crime Novel by, I think, the other big Brooklyn writer, Jonathan Lethem. And so...
Brooklyn theme
a little bit. And he was also called the Dean of Postmodernists. He wrote several of a whole list of my favorite books of all time. So go read a Paul Auster book this week and don't smoke. Because he died of lung cancer after smoking.
I was just about to say, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Good to know.
Yes. So don't smoke and live longer.
Yep.
All right. So
title of our other podcast.
Exactly. Our health podcast.
That's right.
Which we have even less background to support.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about Brooklyn Crime Novel.
Okay.
By Jonathan Lethem. And it is definitely falls in the postmodern category. It's about Brooklyn, basically, and it's like growing up there, and the starts in the 70s, but it kind of jumps through time. It's very evocative, particularly of being a boy in that era. And so these kids just kind of run the streets, and you kind of get a sense for what it's like to be a little, freewheeling kid in the 70s.
Goodness.
With parents that just kick you out of the house
in
and
Brooklyn.
say, go,
yeah,
don't come back until dark.
Yeah, no, I mean, I did that as a kid, but I lived in like a neighborhood, a quaint little neighborhood. It wasn't that quaint, but
yeah,
I can't imagine, that in Brooklyn.
So I love Jonathan Lethem too. He always writes in different genres. So there's always some surprise. It's always unexpected.
Nice.
You never know what you're going to get.
Love that.
Yeah, I love that. The next thing that I read was Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. And it's a very short little novella, which was expanded from a short story. And there's another like slight theme through some of the things I've read recently where it's about memory. And memory is a really common theme in literature just in general.
Sure.
Because a lot of times we write to remember things and to capture moments in time and to like explore creatively something that happened.
Yeah, writing what you have to pull from something.
Yeah. And so that's twofold in this story so Neil Gaiman says that the main character is a child, or it's a grown man who looks back later on his childhood. So most of the story, he's a child, and he's modeled it on himself, and so it's like thinking about remembering his childhood, but the character, the story is kind of bookended by this grown man going back to this place where he lived as a child, and he goes back to this place and he remembers it being called this little girl called this little pond, the ocean. To her, it was the ocean.
Cute.
And so he goes back down this lane in the British countryside is where this takes place, and sees this pond, and then all these memories come back of this like magical time, and literally magical time. It's not. I'm not just saying he had a great childhood. There's magic involved.
I love it.
And so he remembers, and so he tells this story of this extremely fantastical childhood experience that he had. And
I have to read this.
You would love it. Yeah, it's very good. And it's super fast. I think I actually listened to it, and he reads it, and he has a great reading voice.
Yes.
And I read it like 2 times speed, or listened to it at 2 times speed, so it took like 2 hours.
Love it.
Very fast.
I love it.
Yeah, but I highly recommend that.
Cool.
Then I also listened to Nightwatching by Tracy Sierra, and it reminds me of this short story by Miranda July that I've talked about before. And I can't remember the title of it, but it's this narration, first-person narration of this woman who hears a sound downstairs, and it's a very short little story, but so evocative because I think we've all been here. She hears a noise downstairs, so she starts to go investigate, but it's pitch black, and so she's walking to the stairs, and she imagines, or she thinks that she's hearing this intruder coming up the stairs. Like she's like, oh, I hear this step, and then this creak on this step, and he must be right in front of my face, and just like this, all the things that go through your mind
when your brain is turned all the way up.
Yes. And so it reminds me of that story, because this is about this mother who wakes up in the middle of the night, and there's an intruder in her house, and she's there alone with her 2 kids, and so she's got to get to them. They're young, so of course, they're like panicking and crying, and she's just trying to keep them hidden and quiet.
Be
with
cool,
this intruder.
guys.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, I'm making light of the situation because that's horrifying.
It is. And so, but it's a lot of the same thing where she's like describing, she's holding the kids, they're hiding, and she can hear the movements of this intruder, but there's an element of an unreliable narrator in there, and so because you don't really know, is she hearing? And then as the story goes along, she is not believed. We'll put it that way.
Cool.
And so I don't want to tell anything else, because it's very surprising, I think.
Well, and even under those circumstances, when your adrenaline's like, even then, like your brain plays tricks on you, and Can I tell a very quick story? I'll make it. This happened to a friend of mine, Katie Mungia. Shout out. This is she told me this story, and I was like, I need to tell everyone I know this story. It was so funny. She was on a camping trip with another friend of ours from high school, and they're in their early 20s. And, it's just the 2 of them, overnight in a sleeping bag in the woods. And so on alert, and the other girl's already asleep, and she starts to hear sounds outside the tent, like there is definitely a person, like leaves crunching kind of footstep sound, and they're right there, and she's freaking out. She I think even grabbed like a pocket knife that she had, like was like ready to fight, and eventually she realized that the sound was her eyelashes against her sleeping bag. Isn't that just great?
That is also very evocative, because how do you have your sleeping bag so close to your face?
I mean, and I feel like, I'm imagining it kind of like maybe up around or on either side kind of thing. Or like, I just thought that was great. Because, that's happened to me before. Like I'm home alone and I'm just like super on alert and everything sounds like something. I thought that was such a great.
That is hilarious.
Twist ending.
I have a story of hearing footsteps in the woods too, but it turned out, well, I'll tell you. So I grew up on a farm.
Yes.
And so behind our house was woods and then a lake. And so there was nobody back there. Like we lived on a private road. Nobody's coming down there unless
you would
coming
know
to see us.
if somebody. Yeah.
And so I'm sitting in the dining room doing homework or something, and there's a window, and we've got the window open because it's like a summer night, and it's, you know. And so I hear footsteps, and at first I think, well, maybe, you know, because it's lots of critters, like maybe it's a deer.
Like, how old were you?
I was in high school.
Okay.
And so I was maybe 14, 15. And so I'm, you know, hearing this, and as I'm listening to it, and I kind of like stop what I'm doing and pay attention. I'm not a skittish kid, you know.
Yeah.
But it sounds very clearly like somebody walking toward the house. And so it sounds like it's getting closer and closer, and it does sound like a person and not an animal. So I'm like, hey, Dad. And then the footsteps start running toward the house.
No.
Yes, toward the window, right where I am. So I leaped up, and my dad comes out. He's like, what's going on? So I tell him. So he goes investigating, and he hears them as well. Yeah. And so he starts chasing them through the woods and loses them. Like, he can't hear them anymore.
So he saw someone. Was it just not like close?
It wasn't close, but he could hear. Once he went out there, they started crashing through the underbrush, you know. And so we never did catch him, but he thought that they had come over on a little boat and were just like,
I was about to say, that's no.
Yeah.
And also way too much work. Like, for what?
For what? Yeah, what was the purpose? But yeah, it was one of those times where I was like, you know, I would feel really stupid if I was, you know, got freaked out about nothing, but he said no, that there was somebody out there.
I am a skittish person and was a skittish child. Like, maybe, but like, you're the kind of person, like, if you sound worried, it's going to be legit. Like,
right. I was like, I'm real sure that this is a person. And then when they started running, I was like, okay, no. This is too much. No. It sounded like it got right up to the window.
And why would you run it? Hey, Dad.
Right.
Like, that's when I would run away.
It was dark. Exactly. That's what really scared me. Yes. And it was dark. So, of course, it was light inside, so they could see everything, and we could see nothing out there. So. Yeah. I've always hated that, like, window thing since then. I don't like
I do agree. That's super off-putting to me too, because I don't know, that's been used in so many horror movies. And
exactly.
Yeah.
And I, you know, even still, I don't have my windows open at night. Or my blinds open.
No, I don't like it. Yeah, I'm with you.
So anyway, Nightwatching.
Yes, sorry.
Nightwatching by Tracy Sierra. I do recommend it. It's a kind of a new take, I think, on that kind of story.
Wow, yeah.
So always like that.
Yeah.
And then this sounds like it would be along the same theme, but it's not. The Sleepwalkers by Scarlett Thomas. Somebody described it as Patricia Highsmith meets White Lotus, because it takes place on like this resort. And so it's about this couple that go to this little Greek island for their honeymoon, but they're already having issues, and a bunch of crazy stuff happens.
The honeymoon does not help.
And the thing about this book that's makes it a little more unique or unusual is that the main character is real unlikable.
Interesting.
Yeah. She's well, you'll just have to, kind of an actress, and so everybody basically in the book is unlikable.
Well, and it makes me think of White Lotus.
Yeah,
like everybody was had their moments at least of being unlikable. And and there is something about, you know, places where rich people go and then bad things happen that just makes it eerie. Because it's also one of those things. It's like we I don't know. I don't know about you, Crystal, but I am very out of touch with that way of life.
Oh, really? You're not going to Greek islands every year or every other year?
My summer vacation.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, I feel like there's like something about that, just like already being out of touch with that world, and then other things we don't understand.
Yeah, exactly.
Take place anyway.
Yeah, it's a lot of that, and there's a lot, and then there's first person from this character too, which kind of makes it usually makes that kind of thing a little more immediate, but in this case, it again, there's this unreliable narrator. You're thinking, you always have to think that when you've got a first person narrator,
sure. But still, like what do they know? Or
it's odd. We'll put it that way.
Cool.
And all the characters are very vivid and like intricate characters, but you don't like them.
Noted.
Not at all. Let's see. The next book that I read was The Leftover Woman by Jean Kwok. And it is about this woman who has come from a rural Chinese village to New York City, but she has come because she was like a child bride and she's escaping from an abusive husband. But also, the reason that she decided to escape from her husband is because she finds out that she had had a baby that he told her had died. But instead he gave it up for adoption because it was a girl.
Oh.
Yes.
Well.
And so then the baby has been given away.
She's good for nothing. Yeah.
And so the woman goes to, her name's Jasmine, comes to try to find her.
Oh my gosh. Yes. That's so sweet.
And then all kinds of drama ensues, of course. And there's a mystery in there.
Cool.
So
yeah.
I thought it was good. It was kind of, again, there were some unusual takes that you don't always see, which you always like, and especially in a genre, a mystery novel. Yes. It's nice to see something that's a little unusual.
Tell me something I don't know.
Yeah. Exactly. And then, let's see, is this the last book? No, 2 more. So the next book that I read was called The Premonition by Banana Yoshimoto.
That's fabulous.
Yes. And this author, I've never heard of her. She actually, this book was originally published in 1988 and then came out as a translation.
Oh, cool.
Recently, and it's I don't know that I want to recommend it because the premise of it, I think some people might find it a slightly distasteful. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
But it's about this. It's about memory. It's about this woman who, as a child, had something happen, and she's starting to remember things as she's grown up, and remembering something that happened that then informs her current situation.
Is something prompting her to start remembering these things, or kind of?
She moves in with her aunt, and her aunt is like quirky and mysterious, and things start to come back to her.
Okay.
So it's good. It is just
kind of cringy.
There's a cringe factor. So you might. Apparently, she has other very well-regarded books that I have not read.
Okay.
So maybe try one of those.
That could be noted.
if you're concerned about an odd scenario. We'll put it that way.
Yes.
And then the last book that I'll mention is a nonfiction book called This Exquisite Loneliness: What Loners, Outcasts, and the Misunderstood Can Teach Us About Creativity by Richard Deming.
Love that.
Yes. And so it is basically an investigation or analysis of 6 different people. One of them is Zora Neale Hurston. And then these people that wrote extensively and talked about loneliness or solitude, but specifically how it informs the creative process.
Cool.
And so...
you don't get those points of view very often.
No. And it's kind of academic, a little bit. But I wouldn't say that it's dry or boring. But it's got this exploration of these really interesting people, and some people like Zora Neale Hurston you've probably heard of, and the others maybe not. So I would recommend it.
Cool.
And if you're interested in that kind of thing, like philosophy and like writing about writing and writing about creativity.
Cool.
So Well, let's move on to shows.
You been watching anything?
Yeah. Not a whole lot, but let's see. Speaking of Patricia Highsmith and vacationing on the islands, I watched Ripley, the new series on Netflix that's based on the talented Mr. Ripley.
Cool.
And the Ripley character is
what's
the priest from from Fleabag.
You know I love him. Oh my gosh. I just saw a video with him the other day. I need to show you. What is his name?
Why do we do this?
I keep wanting to say Sam Rockwell, but it's not. I know it's not. He has kind of a Sam Rockwell vibe, though. I feel like they both have the same kind of charisma. I love him, though.
Yes. And it is a very good show. Dakota Fanning plays Marge. And then a guy I'd never seen before plays Dickie Greenleaf. But Andrew is his name.
Oh, my gosh. And now I can't even...
But he plays Tom Ripley.
Cool.
And he has like a unusual take on it, I think.
Cool.
And it's very dark, obviously, if you're familiar with the story. But yeah, enjoyable. It's 8 episodes. It's a limited series.
Yeah.
It was
fun. Okay, I'll have to watch that.
Yeah, highly recommend. And then another not a limited series, but another series that just started in the first season was Fallout.
Yeah.
And that's on Amazon Prime. And I don't think, did I talk about this last time?
Wait, this is the one based on the video game.
Yes.
You did.
Okay, so refer back to
I was like, am I crazy or okay?
But I don't know if I had finished it then. But anyway, it was.
You did finish it?
Yes.
Cool.
I finished it. It is dark.
Yes.
We have a theme again.
Yes.
But it's quirky and funny. And I would say Ripley has some funny moments, but it's
not
really
what you would highlight.
Right.
Yeah.
But Fallout is meant to be a comedy. So
yeah.
Let's see. Hopefully I haven't talked about all of these things then. The 3-Body Problem, also on Netflix. It's based on a book series, and they just started a series.
I don't think so.
Okay.
This does not sound familiar.
It is a Chinese author, and then I've talked about the books series before, but now it's
I knew that
Netflix
title sounded familiar, but yeah, I don't remember.
And it's very ambitious. The story is big. There's a lot of locations, and the locations change very drastically. I don't want to give it away.
You said series or movie?
Series.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Basically, it starts in the Chinese Revolution, and this young woman whose father is a physics professor ends up being killed, murdered, because of his scientific beliefs. And then, so that kind of informs her life, and she gets in trouble because of her father and all of this stuff. And ultimately ends up at this location, or this like the military site where they have this giant satellite, and they don't know, the people around don't know like what's going on at this military installation and what's the satellite for. And she wants to know, so she goes and she ends up working there, and she finds out what it's about. And it's
a doozy.
Like I said, it's a doozy. It's a big story, and then there's lots of characters that flash forward to the future after, I want to say like 20 or 30 years, something, maybe 30 years, and what they have discovered from this search that they've been doing. And then there's like it's mysterious and sci-fi, and it's a lot. And it was hugely popular, like international bestseller kind of type of book. And so people were really waiting for this.
I want to watch this too.
In fact, I knew that they were coming out with it, and I don't know, months ago, I saw it, and I was like, oh, so I start to watch it, and it was the Chinese version.
Oh no!
And I was like, this doesn't seem like what I was expecting. So I didn't complete watch. I just watched part of that.
Yeah.
Because I knew that the English language.
I see. Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with the translation, but
no, absolutely.
Yeah. So the 3-Body Problem, Netflix.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have to watch that too.
Then on Hulu, I started watching Under the Bridge, which is based on a book by Rebecca Godfrey, I think is the name. And Lily Gladstone and Riley Keough are in it.
Riley Keough, I can't.
Elvis's granddaughter.
If I saw
she
her,
was in the Daisy and the Six. That she hasn't been in a whole lot of things,
but interesting.
Yeah. So basically, it's based on a true story about this 14-year-old girl who goes missing, and it's a lot of surprising twists and turns. In it. I thought it was when I saw that it was a series and I knew what the story was. I kind of thought, how are they dragging this out into 8
should
episodes?
This be a movie? Yeah.
But so far,
cool.
They've kept it, fresh and well paced. So.
Cool, good.
Hopefully that will continue.
Yeah. Is it like an 8-episode situation?
I think so.
Kind of thing. Okay.
And I don't think they're all out because I think
they're doing it week by week
on Hulu. So yeah.
Cool. Oh, I see. Yes. Never mind.
Yeah, it's one of those.
The way Hulu. Yeah.
And then, so I also was wanting a little while back. I was wanting, just to have something on while I was doing other things. And so I started watching Northern Exposure, which is on several things, but I think it's on Amazon Prime. But it is a series from the 90s. And I had a friend who was super into it at the time. I never really watched a lot of it, but I had seen, it's like in the 90s, you saw episodes of TV just because, like there weren't that many things to choose from.
Yeah, and that's what was on.
So you just saw a lot of different
things. And if
you
haven't been keeping up or whatever, then good luck as you watch,
Right, yeah, because there was no way to watch the previous episodes. So so I had seen a few, but it's basically about a New York doctor or medical student who in the first episode he is flying out to Alaska because being a doctor, getting a medical degree is expensive.
Yes.
And so he has basically made an agreement with Alaska to be a doctor there for a certain number of years.
Yes.
In exchange for them paying for his tuition.
Yes.
So he's finished with school, he's going out and he's thinking, that he's going to go to Anchorage and, serve out this. But yeah, so he gets there and they're like, oh, you're not working here. We're going to, take you out to the bush or whatever. That's where we need
that
a doctor.
Lone igloo over there.
Right.
I know that. Yeah, but
there aren't any igloos.
No, but I'm just picturing, real sparse.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like a sort of isolated community that he ends up. And so it's fish out of water, quirky characters.
What was
and
that movie? Doc Hollywood or with Michael J.
Yes.
Fox? I feel like that's making me think of that premise. Different, but yeah.
The show might have come out after that movie. Like,
they were maybe I've got an idea, but let's expand on it. Yeah.
So it's very cute.
Cool.
Yeah. It's kind of trippy to watch 90s stuff because there's so many things that we don't.
Also, I'm like, why does it look like it was made 100 years ago? Like,
yes.
I was alive when this came out, and it looks like
things look old. Even things from, I was watching something that was like, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. It was a news report. And it looked so vastly.
It is crazy.
Different and old.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It's strange the time that we live in.
It really is.
Yikes.
We'll just take a moment of silence to
be weirded out by the universe.
Ponder the weirdness.
Existential crisis. Engage.
I do need a moment for that, I think.
Yeah.
Once a day. Yeah.
Every once in a while, yeah. So let's see. Then I I don't know if I have anything else to mention. Well, so I don't think I talked about Poor Things. With
oh no, with
yeah,
Emma
we haven't
Stone.
talked about that yet.
I want to watch it.
Yes. So it's based on a book by Auster Gray.
Yeah.
It's got a Frankenstein vibe,
Mm-hmm.
but the Frankenstein's monster in this case, or the monster, is a woman.
Mm-hmm.
But it turns out that she's the least monstrous of all the characters, obviously,
right.
which is kind of, similar kind of story.
Edward Scissorhandsy, obviously Frankenstein-y,
yes. Yeah. The thing about it, though, that I found it to be very dark, but not in an entertaining way, just dark, because of the things that she gets up to, and the way that she's treated by all of the other characters. It's kind of like this fantastical flights of fancy, like crazy things that go on. Lots of weird stuff happens in the film, and the characters are all like very overblown, and the man, quote unquote, who creates her has been experimented on himself, and so he's like. But ultimately, the story, I found it very sad and very depressing, because the way that she's used and abused by every person that she comes across.
Is it because she's this naive, not fully human thing?
She's naive, yeah. She doesn't know anything. She's like
a kid,
like a child, yeah. But she's treated like not like a child,
right,
by everybody that
that would be one thing. Okay.
So I could see that it's meant to have this like fantasy flavor, and that there's amusing things, I guess.
Sure.
But the overarching feeling of it was bad.
Yeah, I could see that.
So
I do want to watch it. I want to see my girl Emma. Was she good? Do you feel like
she's very good at it?
Yeah, her win.
Yes, she's very good in it. Mark Ruffalo is great. His character's despicable, but all the characters are kind of despicable.
Yeah.
Even the ones that you think are good, are also not good.
I mean, yeah.
And so, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'll still watch it, but yeah.
Yeah. I think it's visually interesting to watch. There's good things about it, but that's my take on it.
Interesting.
And so this summer is coming up. We've got summer reading is about to happen. It is currently May the 3rd. And so we've got a month before our summer reading program starts. And one of the events that we're having this summer is a detective dress-up social hour, which we're really excited about.
Yes.
Because everybody can come dressed up as their favorite detective. And then we'll have like detective games and puzzles and clues and stuff. And
probably some themed snacks and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I thought we could talk about different detectives.
Love that.
And I didn't give you any time to prepare for this.
Yeah, I'm like immediately. Yeah, but it's cool.
But I think we can do it over the next few episodes. Talk about different detectives.
Yeah.
There's so many great ones.
Yes.
And plus, we can give people ideas for the ones.
Yes.
So. Obviously Sherlock Holmes comes to mind as the first one, and that character has been embodied by so many different actors, and has really penetrated the zeitgeist. And so, that's probably the first detective that people think of when they think about a fictional.
He's kind of the classic detective.
Yeah. So I wanted to know what your take was on the series with our favorite Andrew.
I know, when he plays Moriarty.
And then, what you thought about that series. So that was from several years ago.
Yeah, I really liked that series. And then was Rachel McAdams, wasn't she? No, that's in the movie.
In the movie. So there's also...
Yes, now I'm getting things. Yes. But no, I did really like that series, because it was, I think, it putting the modern spin on on this, because each of the stories were truly
From
based
the
on
stories.
books. Yeah, and I really liked that.
It was one that I felt really strongly that I should like it.
Yeah, and
I kept I watched them all.
Yeah.
And would oh yeah, I'm looking forward to watching this, and then I would watch the episode, and I just kept not liking them.
But you were still looking forward to the
next
one. Well, and it's one I want to
wanted...
rewatch, because it was made in like what, 2010-ish.
Yeah.
And I do feel like, because I've said this about things before, I was like 20, 30, almost 34 now, and so like I do feel like there have been things from that era that at the time I was like, this is so groundbreaking and cool. And I watch it now and I'm like, oh God, what is, and I'm not saying that I do think that I would still enjoy this series, but I think I would have some interesting new takes.
I think so too. Yeah, I would be curious to rewatch that. But it was just like, and part of it, and you're going to be mad at me, is that the Moriarty character was so overwrought and out of bounds that I almost ruined it for me.
I barely even remember, because I became aware of him as the priest in Fleabag.
Yes, exactly.
More aware, I guess. But yeah,
I almost didn't even put that together. Yeah. That it was the same person.
Right.
Because I really disliked the Moriarty character.
Oh, interesting.
Not, but his take on it.
Yeah.
Because it was just so unhinged.
Yeah.
And kind of screechy and weird, and
I feel like that's not. Yeah, no.
It was so different from the other characters. It was like he was in a play and they were in a movie.
Yes, like they're playing the straight man, and he's just like maniacally laughing the entire time.
Yeah. Exactly. It was very maniacal, everything that he did. And so, it was funny that I came away from that thinking, oh, that guy just almost ruined the whole experience for me, to then him being in Fleabag and being such a great romantic lead.
Oh my gosh. I don't even think he is attracted to women. I was like, could have fooled me.
Yeah. And he's so subtle.
Yes.
And just
charming. Yeah. I really want to go back and watch that series now. I wonder if it's on like Hulu.
I'm sure it is.
Okay, cool.
Because I rewatched it recently.
Cool.
Or in the last few months.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So we'll leave it on that note. And did you have anything that you want to?
No, I'm rewatching, or I'm going back. There's new Killing Eve. It's on Netflix now.
Oh, I saw that the other night.
And it's been so long since I watched it, and I never watched the third season. So I started at the beginning, and I'm making my way through. I'm about to be done with the second season. I really did not remember anything from the second season.
Yeah, I feel like I would need to restart it too if I was going to watch it.
It's so good. It's just, I was like, I'm so glad I did this.
Yeah.
Both Sandra Oh and Jodie Comer are both so good in it. I mean, they're just both, they play such different characters, and it's just delicious the whole way through. And obviously I get mad at, I have, big feelings when I watch it, but that's a good thing.
Yeah. You're invested in the characters.
Yes.
No, I agree. That, and I saw that that popped up, as like a new thing. I thought, is this really? Because one of the streaming apps or whatever has tricked me before, where I thought it was something. It feeds it up in the new feed or whatever, thinking that it's new, and then I click on it and it's an old season.
No, it's like they just added it to this. To this streaming thing or whatever, not new seasons.
So I was afraid that that's what it was, because I hadn't been keeping up with it.
Yeah.
And it'd been a long time.
Yes, I know. And I am, just because I do remember how the second season ends, and it's a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And so I'm really curious. But also, you and I first met because I came to the library before I started working here to ask if the library had the book series, and you ordered them or put in a request for me.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
No, I was like, oh yeah, I need to get a hold of this.
Yeah, no, and it's very different from the series, but yeah. And Jodie Comer, that's her name, right? Did she win anything? Has she won anything for this?
She should win everything for this.
My mind is blown. Is she from England?
I think so.
British accent. And she, first of all, her character Villanelle is Russian. So she's got the Russian accent down the whole time. But then she plays, she's this assassin and has to play these different roles in order to, get to the people she's gonna kill. And she's also, she's playing a psychopath who's trying to sort of mask and act like a regular person. She's also really funny, like just dry. Anyway, it's just like it's so many layers, and she nails it. And she looks so good doing it. I mean, her character's known for her fashion,
and her costumery.
Oh, she looks fabulous the whole time.
Well, and so this series actually is kind of a similar experience for me with the Sandra Oh character, as with the Moriarty character. She's a little overwrought in some of the scenes, and
there are times when I want to grab her and shake her.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
She's still great. Like Sandra Oh is great, but like I do agree that sometimes it's like, girl, I know you're going through like an existential crisis. Here we are again. But get a hold of yourself.
Yes. Yeah. It's definitely like one of those, you just want to hold her by the shoulders and slap her across the face. Because she gets just over, I mean, it's big things that are happening to her.
Yes, and she has this like unexplainable obsession with this assassin girl.
Yeah.
Like,
what is it?
Exactly. Is it her, is it work related? Like, is she just a workaholic? Is it romantic? Is it, what is this obsession? And I don't know. It's crazy. And I am just kind of like, there are 2 more seasons now. Like, what is gonna happen? Anyway, I'm excited about it. I'm really glad I got back into it.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna rewatch and watch this next season of it.
Yeah, I've loved it. So yeah.
Well, good.
Yeah.
And you would recommend the books as well, or?
I only read the first one, and I was just thinking to myself, like, I should go back and read it because it really was. It was slower paced than the show. I felt. And it was a very different setup. So I do feel like you can, even if you've already seen the show, it wouldn't feel redundant to read the book also. Yeah.
Maybe I need to do that too.
Do it.
I never have read any of the You book series.
Right. No, me neither.
And I've been watching that TV series. So I'm curious.
I wonder how it lines up.
There's a lot more of those, I think.
Of the books?
She keeps writing
Interesting.
Those. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So, yeah, anyway.
More
to explore.
That's the library.
Well, we will be back next week.
That's right. Look at us. That's right.
And we'll have even more.
Love your shelf.
That's right. Bye.
Bye.